Good day, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So, hi. So, let me try and share my camera really quickly. I'm having bandwidth issues, so please pardon me. So, hi, everybody. I'm Nicolette Bryan, your resident advisor who works with the EAC. So, just showing my face really quickly. I really want to thank everybody who has managed to turn out. No matter how small the discussion, we can always have fruitful outcomes from things that are topical and things that are important to us. I see a familiar face, Miss Shellyan, who is a staunch advocate who I admire very much, and you can always count on her to have a very spirited discussion, and to have a substantive discussion as well. I want to applaud Talia and the rest of the committee members who have organized this talk. I think it is important that we pivot and try to have digital engagements in digital spaces, as we no longer can meet in person. But and that is affecting everybody. I'm sure it's affecting culture and just affecting everything in general. Just how we go about interactions as students, and even just the very reach that our programs could have, programs of this substantive nature as well. So I just want to thank the few of us who are here. I expect a few more persons to join and people to be in and out. And we do understand that many people have data issue challenges. So, I suspect that this is this not suspect, it will definitely be left online as well for others to tap into at later dates. But I wish everybody a fruitful discussion, and I will be here myself just to put my 2 cents in here and there. So I'll be going off camera, but I still will be here nonetheless. So thanks to everybody for being here, and welcome again.
Thank you.
What man I left them alone.
Yeah, listen to your family. Can I come on? People have been thinking what come from this is the care. You my purpose is end of friends. I'm just full of grace and grace.
All right, Antoinette, you can go ahead when you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I was just waiting for my cue. All right. So, hello, everyone. Hello to all the persons who are currently in this room or amazing guest speakers for today. And welcome, welcome, welcome to everyone who will be joining us via YouTube or via this platform, Zoom here. We are at the Mary C. Cole Hall October Forum, and this event is absolutely important as we are about to dive into all things mental health and sexual health as well. And we really just want to have a meaningful discussion here today. I'm absolutely excited. Tons of questions to ask our beautiful guest speakers. And we really want this event to be as informative and interactive as possible. So again, thank you to everyone who's joining, who's here. And yes, so I will turn over to Taji. I believe she has a message. And then we can get started. Nicolette? I just want to be sure that we're doing the message. All right, let's just dive right into it. So I will welcome our beautiful guest speakers for today. Today we have Shellyan Weeks, who I adore absolutely so much. Hi, Shellyan. She is the founder and executive director of Her Flow Foundation. Hi, Shelly says hi in the chat. We also have with us Dr. Debbie Ann Chambers, who is the head of counseling at the University of the West Indies, Mona. And finally, Mr. Richard Griffiths, who is the founder of Elsa's Blends. So today, we are going to dive into an amazing discussion with these three guest speakers, as I've said before. So let's get right into it. The first question, and these questions that I'll be asking now, there are only 5. I'll be throwing out to all of our speakers so you guys can take turns in answering. Anyone can go first. Okay, so we want to know what inspired you to go into your particular field. You know, what was that moment or that experience that triggered your decision into entering into this field, the field that you're in now?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Hi, everybody. If others don't mind, I will share. And I'm sharing in particular for the students at UWI. That's a bit of my story. So when I was in high school, I wanted to become a doctor because in Jamaica, that's supposedly what you do if you're bright, right? But I absolutely hated chemistry. I could not do it. I did not understand it. So I entered UWI as an undergrad with a major in management and a minor in economics. Obviously, that was not the path I ended up on, but I discovered psychology because it was a prerequisite to the management major and absolutely fell in love with it. And I think at the heart of it, most or all psychologists go down this path because they want to understand themselves. They're trying to figure themselves out. And so that's really why I started down this path. But stayed with it because I genuinely believe that we spend so many hours at work that it's worth it doing something that you're interested in and that will sustain you for a long time. So psychology has sustained me. It's an ever increasing challenge. And it's something that I'm never bored with. So that's basically how I ended up here.
Nice. Wow, that's inspiring. Richard, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I could. Well, let me just introduce myself. Most persons don't really know. I am a man of multiple skills. Kind of dabble in architecture. I'm also a lecturer in animation. I'm an animator as well. And some years ago, after, like watching my daughter grow up and, well, growing up, I shouldn't say grow up because she's about 16 now. So growing up, I kind of realized that there was a stigma attached to menstruation, and there was a pill for everything. There's a pill for not just menstruation, pill for how you're feeling. If you're under stress, a pill for headache, a pill for being hungry, pill for everything. So I kind of decided to find an alternative because I didn't, knowing how the American culture is, and my daughter was there, didn't want her to go down the road of drugs, like taking all them different type of drugs to try to alleviate some of the symptoms caused by that. And because I'm a Jamaican and I grew up kind of discovering certain things, I decided to trick her into drinking herbal teas. Because I thought more or less that if it was packaged then, in tea bags, then she wouldn't think twice about drinking it if it would help with the pain. So I started packaging the teas and shipping it off to the US for her. She didn't know, apparently, that it was coming from me because I didn't know what to explain to her, like a 12-year-old,
you know. So I shipped off the teas to her. She started drinking them, helped with her period pain and so forth. And I had you know, some additional teas, and I started to give them to persons around me, and they insisted that they wanted more and they preferred if it was packaged and all of that. So that's how it kind of came up eventually into becoming like a product. And ever since I've been doing this, and I've learned a lot about female reproductive health disorders. And yeah, I guess I can answer a ton load of questions. I'll just end there right now.
Okay. Shanayan?
Okay. I struggled with very painful, very heavy periods for most of my life. From my periods started until I was 34. It got progressively worse. It didn't start really, really bad, but as I got older, I started being just unable to function fully. There are days where I'll just spend the day in the bathroom. I used to get extension cords and put my laptop and everything and literally set up my office in the bathroom while I sit on the toilet, because that's how heavy my periods used to be. I tell people all the time that I've bled on quite a few very important pieces of upholstery in nice, pretty offices. So I used to flow really, really heavy. I remember days when I used to go through an entire pack of overnight extra long pads in a day. And that pack usually have like 16 pads in it. So I struggled with my periods for a very long time. I was eventually diagnosed with uterine fibroids. And just in my journey to deal with the fibroids, I recognized that if I changed my lifestyle, then you know, I'll be able to have a very different outcome, and that has really been my story. Now, why I started doing this? I've been a marketer all of my adult life. All of the professional parts of my life has been involved in marketing in some way, shape, form, or size. And so, what I wanted to do was to tell people that this thing is possible, to tell people that pain-free periods are possible. That because up until that time, I thought that having pain with a period was just something that we had to deal with. Like if you're a woman, you must just feel pain. And until I personally experienced what it is to not have painful periods, I was like, everybody needs to know about this. I refuse to believe that people knew that all this time you never had to be suffering with painful periods, and they never tell me. So the marketer in me wanted to tell as many people as possible about this amazing thing that I just discovered. So that's how the period education workshop started. And I really make it a point to talk to especially girls about their period before they start, because I want them to understand that you do not have to suffer with your period. You do not have to have difficult periods. That there are actually things that you can do that prevents you from having pain to begin with. Pain and period are not mutually exclusive. And if you start out with pain, you don't have to continue with pain. So that is one of the things that I was very, very adamant in making sure that it is known. So I do that through different avenues. You know, well, you're familiar with most of my work, but one of the things that I really wanted to do, and I'm so happy that Debbie is here, is connect the mental and emotional aspects of period to the conversations, because we don't talk about that enough. We talk about the physical things, we talk about the changes in the body, we talk about all of the things that we can see, but we don't, enough conversation is not around the self-esteem and how you feel about your ability to have clear thoughts, because mind fog is a real thing, you know, man. Like you're trying to read something and you read it 4 or 5 times, and you're not aware that is a part of the fact that your hormones are not flowing how they should, And that is the reason why your body is responding the way it is. So I really think that there must be a more extensive conversation with linking mental health and reproductive health. And Debbie, I'd love to figure out if we can collaborate and doing something like that, because mental health is not my area of expertise. So I will definitely yield to somebody who knows more about that. But I do know that that part of the conversation needs to happen, and there is a connection there, and knowing more about it will be helpful to a lot of us.
Most certainly. Awesome. So very inspiring stories. You guys now have an idea of what caused our guests here to, getting into their respective fields in educating persons about periods and reproductive health and mental health. So now I want to ask you guys, what would you say to people or someone who would want to do the work that you're currently doing? What advice would you bid to them, to a person like myself who potentially sees myself as the next Shelly-Ann? What would your advice be to someone who wants to do the work that you're currently doing now?
All right, well, since you called me out, I can just jump in. I'd say do it. I'd say, first of all, learn. Like, just get in the space of learning and be ready to be shocked, be ready to be proven wrong, be ready to be open. Because one of the things that I've learned is that there are a lot of misinformation, just straight up wrong information that are in textbooks about the female body. And it is until you meet somebody that looks like, you meet a little girl that looks you in your face at 8 years old and tell you that she feels like there is somebody digging at her abdomen. And you're trying to, like, you can't fathom this little baby is having that kind of experience. And if you look at what a lot of the literature said, that she's not even supposed to start her period yet. Like, the average age of first period is in older textbooks is 12. They have adjusted the age down to 10 now because they have so many younger girls starting. But I would say just learn as much as you can. And as I said, be prepared to be proven wrong, because there are some things like that pain thing was something that I believed. I used to say, I was like, look here, I just have to figure out a way to live with this pain. I get all kind of, you name it. I've done acupuncture, I've gone to one Chinese herbalist man, I've done yoga, I've done all the different things, and oh yes, I've taken the myriad of painkillers to deal with pain. And in all of those conversations, there was never anybody who said to me that, Shelly, you do not have to experience the pain at all. And when I discovered that, it was like, why isn't this the first thing they tell you? Like, this should be the goal, to not feel pain, So I would say learn. I can't stress that enough. Learn as much as you can, because I'm still learning, and I stay learning.
Yep, likewise.
I think, Shelly-Ann really said it well. Even for my profession, it's to be open to learning, and there are a number of misconceptions. So one I will say is that for many students at UWI, because I work with the students at UWI who are interested in psychology or becoming psychologists, or the counseling, clinical, sports psychologists, etc., they tend to have this misconception that you have to have it all together. And so they'll come to me and say, well, Dr. Chambers, maybe I really can't do this because, I have issues with anxiety, I have issues with depression, and you have your stuff all together. And I'm often saying, obviously, if you really did know, so you don't have to have all your stuff together to be a psychologist. Many of my psychology friends do not have their stuff together, but we are open to learning. And that is the biggest thing, open to being surprised. Right. Sometimes we think that if you read a book in psychology, you're supposed to know everything about everyone. Many of the books are based on white European males. They're not on our population. So when you actually start the work, it is very humbling because you realize a lot of what you learned does not apply. So if you need to be in control, if you need to have everything right, if you need to be on top and you think you should have all your stuff together, this may not be the field for you. But if you're open to learning, you're open to admitting that you're human like everybody else, that you have issues, you don't mind just being with people and listening to them and taking care of yourself or learning how to, because I don't do that perfectly all the time, then this is the field for you. And just go for it, as Shelly-Ann says.
Awesome.
Yes, it's my time.
Yes.
All right. I was jotting down some things. I'm that type of person. Now, one of the things I've noticed over the years about, like my struggles as a male, it's a little bit hard. All right, put it this way. It's a lot of hard talking to females about their issues, their problem, because they consider it theirs. Menstruation, the pain associated with menstruation and all of that. It's very hard and a bit intimidating at times. I am not, well, based on some of the things that they've said to me, like for one, I don't have a vagina, so there's no way I can understand the pain that they're feeling, which is true. I don't understand. I can't feel the pain that they're feeling, but I do empathize and I do understand because I've been around this pain, this struggle, since my teenage years. Seeing back in the days, I would say like family members suffering. I don't have brothers, so I had to pay more attention to females. I had to be there to assist, go to the shop, get some pills sometimes as a male, waste some time and on the road before getting back with the pills or whatever they want, and they might need to drink a cup of tea, whatever it is. But I've been around this thing. Now, as I mentioned, it's females like blatantly telling me that, listen, they don't want to talk to me because there's no way I understand what they're going through. But what has kept me over the years is like the feedback. The feedback. Every time I would feel like maybe giving up, I'm not doing this thing again. I can't bother with this thing, maybe it's somebody else. I keep getting messages. I keep getting testimonials, like day after day. Testimonials would come in from random persons I've never met. And they'll tell me how good the products are. And, that kind of helped to push me, to motivate me to keep making stuff and keep helping. And for those persons who, like, for instance, the regular tea that we make didn't help out 100%. They would tell me their problems, talk to me, and we have that consultation. Some persons might be experiencing like heavier periods. Some of them have like extreme clotting around the time, and whenever they're clotting, then it causes more contraction, so they would need a stronger version or blend of the teas, which I'll most times make a stronger version for them. So it's basically customizing these things, and sometimes it even gets to the point where there are persons who don't really understand what's going on and why, but they're still hopeful that the teas, or I would come up with something that would be able to assist them. Some of these persons are females suffering with like endometriosis. And thank God, over the past maybe 6 months, I've managed to come up with something that helps with endometriosis pain management. So good that a doctor who has endometriosis actually gave us a testimonial about her results, from using what is a tincture. It's not a tea, but a tincture. So it's basically herbs that's diluted and are dissolved in alcohol. So I've come up with something for endometriosis, and the feedback has been great. And this is one of those things so that has helped to keep, pushing me down that road. So I am doing okay, and my days of feeling like giving up are kind of over, because now I realize that I can do better. And with the feedback from females about the products, with that feedback, I'll be able to make these products even better. So I'm glad to be a male that came up with something that is so good. And that's my little piece there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Richard. So you pretty much kind of touched on what I'd like to ask Debbie and Shelly-Ann next. I can just only imagine the personal struggles that you both face, Richard as well, obviously. But what keeps you guys going, against all the odds, personally, professionally, socially? What keeps you going and pushing to do the work that you do?
Well, for me, I've been a rebel from the day I born. I've been punished to stop the talking. Every single teacher that I've ever had, they do the same. They have the same note underneath my report card. There's a little space for them to write their personal note, and all of them in very different ways say me chat enough in different ways. The first time I was called loquacious, I had to go look up the word. I'm like, what is a loquacious? Yes, that means you're very talkative. So I've never went with the crowd. I've never done what was expected of me ever. So being in the space of reproductive health made sense for me. I actually started out in sexuality. I still do a lot of work in sexuality. I started out helping people be more confident about their sexuality. I am a very big fan of toys, of sex toys. I sold sex toys for a while. I write a sex column in the Star. So a lot of persons know me as Dr. Sexy-Ann. So coming out of sexuality, I noticed that a lot of women, when they would come to me with their challenges that they're having with their sexual lives, it speaks to a lot of pain. They talk about how it hurts whenever they have intercourse, or they say things like them belly bottom cramp them and them don't feel like them in the mood, and them partner always complain, and all of these kind of things. And in having those kind of conversations, I realized that a lot of these women had reproductive health issues, from endometriosis that Richard had mentioned earlier before, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Some of them have a STD, and because it went untreated for so long, they ended up with other symptoms. So what I realized was, in order for these women to have any sort of pleasure, then they have to deal with their health. So that got me even more interested in reproductive health, just from that standpoint, based on, trying to help these women sexually. But right now in this space of my life, I should tell you who keeps me going. I really want. Who? Little girls and little boys. And let me tell you what I mean. When I go into a school and I meet a little girl who is telling me that her first period experience was so traumatizing that when she think of periods, she just wish she could have pressed a button and make it disappear. And after I get to know her and I see her the next year and she come into school, and when I just meet her, she using tissue as a pad and she's disruptive in class, and Miss can't talk to her, and she missed classes for 3 days every month because she don't have enough pads. Then when I meet her the next year now and the teacher said, boy, you remember little Keisha? Suppose I show you how Keisha doing well in school right now, and Keisha's grades improved because she come to every class, and now when she talking in class, she making sense and she paying attention and her behavior is so much better. And and there's a little Keisha in every school, at every classroom. And when you go and they break it down to you. And they say, Miss, when I get the pack of pads, and I have to go home, I have to give my sister 2, and I have to give my cousin 2, and my mommy have to get some, and whatever. And then you're just having those conversations with them, and you realize that all you have to do now is give she 1 more pack of pads, and it make all that difference in her life. And then she come back and she tell you, oh, her mother was able to get a job, and now she not have to get pad from school again. And just, that is what keeps me going, because you get to see firsthand what it is that is making the difference. And you talk about college students, and I said to every college student, every chance I get, and they talk about what they want to do in their careers, I say, look here, whether you make money from it or not, put something in your life that makes you be of service to others. It's the most important thing you'll ever do. Whether you make money from it or not, you can have a career and then make that be your thing you do on the side, or if it's the thing that you do every day, even better. But do something that puts you in service of others. It will change your life. That's why I do it.
I absolutely agree with that last part. 100%, Shelly, and being able to serve others is definitely something that we should aspire to. I mean, no man is an island. We're all here living in the same world together. So if it is that you identify a strength within yourself and you can use that strength to help somebody else, don't be afraid. Don't be selfish, because you never know how valuable or how much of a breakthrough that one act of service is to, you know, that person or persons. So, Devian, I guess you can tell us now.
Sure, of course. Actually, I was sitting here thinking, what keeps me doing what I do? That's because sometimes we don't know. I'm going to be honest to you. But the thought that came to me was, I'd learned long ago that a vocation is something you cannot not do. Right? It's something that impels you and moves you, and that is how I feel about mental health promotion. So I know that in my life journey as a psychologist, I will have different roads and it will have different faces, but I do believe deeply in the inherent dignity of all human beings. I really do. And I think that when our dignity is stripped of us, it takes a toll on our emotional, physical, spiritual health. And I believe that it is our right to dignity. So that keeps pushing me. So if I'm in a office with somebody, a student, staff member, staff dependent, etc., and just by listening, I can see the shame falling away, and somebody listening to themselves and going, yeah, I guess I should not have put up with that abuse, or I guess I'm worth more, then that keeps me going too. I don't think that we pay attention enough to mental health issues. I think that as a country, if we developed greater community mental health, less stigma, more dignity in terms of the belief in dignity, as a nation, we would have just gone clear, because we have so much promise and ability. So probably that's it. So the love of my country keeps me going.
Thank you, Devin. I absolutely agree with you. I feel as though once we develop that community sense of just responsibility and being able to look out for each other, it will really help, you know, eliminating a lot of the stigmas and discrimination that we practice every day, and that will make such a huge step in just addressing even smaller or medium scale, you know, social issues. So definitely agree with you there. So the next question I'll ask you guys is, how do you keep your business, your organization, or your portfolios, you know, evolving with the modern times, especially in the situation that we're in with this COVID-19 pandemic? You know, how are you keeping everything intact? Either of you can start first.
Okay, I can contribute something. I think what's helped me is community again. So I'm going to keep talking about community. I'm going to say that that's my passion. When COVID hit Jamaica, and then I realized, well, students not going to necessarily be able to come in and see me face to face. What am I going to do? my peer support, so community of other psychologists, psychiatrists in Jamaica and outside of Jamaica, and relying on them and finding out what they were doing helped quite a bit. And so that keeps us going. We have to rely on other professionals, not only in our fields, but outside of our fields who we can collaborate with. And so for young people and older people and middle-aged people, having a community of people that you can rely on is really important. And again, so I love to learn. I was just saying to somebody, I think I'm going to go back and do a master's in public health. I will study forever, but it's seeing the need. I tend to go where the need is. So right now we have a lot of need for health education, as you're all doing right now, mental health promotion. And so it's kind of following the need and adjusting to it is a big part of keeping things going in times that are changing.
Well, for me, I've always been really busy. Usually this time of year, today was supposed to be Healthy Pelvis Conference. I got the alarm on my phone. Today was supposed to be Healthy Pelvis Conference. I was supposed to be flying in doctors from 3 parts of the world, Africa, Canada, and US, to talk about revolutionary ways to treat reproductive health. I was so excited, but what I've been able to do since COVID started in March and the lockdown and all of that is what we're doing now. We had to go viral, had to go virtual. And it actually turned out to be a pretty good thing, because what has happened is, the good thing about the world online is that it's a world. It goes way outside of Jamaica. And so because so many more persons are at home, they are tuning in and they are looking at what is going on online, and there are a lot of different things that can happen in this space. So I've been using the online space a lot. We haven't slowed down where our donations are concerned. We still make sure that that girls in schools get the products that they need. We still make sure that, the people who we serve still get the product that they need, because they actually, period poverty does not stop because there's a pandemic. Actually, there are more persons who are suffering now because, persons have been laid off, and their dollar has to stretch a lot further than it used to. So now we still have to make sure that the products get to them. So that has been happening since the pandemic started. We've donated over 30,000 packs of pads right across the island. And through our partnership with Always, we're about to do another 18,000 in the next 2 weeks. So I'm still working, I'm still doing a lot of stuff. It's just, no, we have to do it differently, and we don't get access to the kids in person anymore, obviously, because of social distancing protocols. So now we do the workshops online. Coming next week, I have a few workshops online with the classes in the classroom, which is very different because the workshop itself is very interactive and stuff like that. So it is very interesting that whenever we have any sort of crisis, any sort of disaster, nobody remembers, period. They know that when they're asking for things, when they're doing care packages, when they're doing, they know food needs to be there, blanket, people bring clothes, they bring everything except menstrual products. So one of the things that I make sure that I do is I respond when organizations reach out to me and say, okay, we're going to be doing a care drive and we want some pads. And I say, how many pads you need? And we work it out, because periods don't stop when there's a disaster. So you might bring all the food that you need to bring. The flow is still flowing. So one of the things that I am trying to kind of gauge now is what's next, because as much as I see we're doing distance learning, I don't think virtual school is going to become a permanent thing, because too many students are left out in the cold. We simply don't have the infrastructure in place. We don't have the equipment in place. Some of the teachers are just incapable of teaching in that sort of way. A lot of the students are not paying attention. Then parents can't even get them to log on and stay on and learn anything. A lot of them don't have the environment around them to actually be learning anything. So I don't think it's going to be a long-term solution, but I'm trying to figure out what the next steps are, because what I do from the foundation standpoint is going to be affected by those decisions. So I'm a little bit in a limbo here where that is concerned, but what I do in the meantime is ensure that whatever products we can get to the persons, the end user, as much as possible, that happens. And that has been my focus. And I'm in the same space of learning. I've learned to sew since the pandemic started. I mean, I'm making dresses and all kind of things. I actually have a sewing room. Talk to me. So the next thing I'm going to learn carpentry. So I'm learning.
Okay, and Richard, how about you?
Well, I've been exploring more about our culture. I've been spending more time talking to elders. As you know, COVID is a threat to our elders right now, and there's a lot that we need to learn. The other thing too is research. I've been doing quite a bit of research, and during the COVID time here, I came up with that tincture for endometriosis. I also figured out with another tincture how to stop person's nose from running so you don't get any sniffles, because you know nowadays if person sneeze then everybody panics. So I've been able to find something, a tincture that has become very popular amongst persons who use it. So I'm into research, a lot of research, and I would encourage persons to spend some time doing things like that as well, because what we need to do, as you know, technologically savvy individuals nowadays, is to bridge that gap between culture and science. You know, not because your elders said this thing work and we used to see them put something on them head and whatever and we think them crazy. Find out why them feel a way or that way about it, you know? Find out what's in it. So I've been doing quite a bit of that, looking at the scientific background of the plants I've been using. And I've also been on the innovative side now, in order to create jobs and create jobs for elderly people, like especially females who are in the menopausal stages as well. I'm trying to create jobs where I've gone into designing, and it's now under construction, a new way, not really new, but for me it is new and it's different, a new way of dehydrating herbs, medicinal herbs, a clean way. So it's not out there in the sun and exposed and all of that. It's actually in a type of oven, and it's using the sunlight, the sun energy, the heat from the sun to penetrate and extract all of that heat to dry the herbs. So I'm trying new things. I've been developing all of that. So that's what I've been doing. That keeps me going. And as I say, day after day, I do come up with new things. And as long as I get feedback, because one of the things I think why most men, I should say, don't really do stuff or really come up with solutions for women is because they don't listen women. And if you spend the time to listen to women, then you learn a lot. So I've been listening to women and trying to figure out, you know, what to do and when to do and so forth. And this has been my edge over the years, listening to them. I don't argue, I don't object to anything. I listen, absorb, and then I do my maths. So that's what I've been doing, and it has paid off greatly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So that brings us to the end of our opening segment. We've learned a lot from Debbie-Ann, Shelly-Ann, and Richard so far, as it relates to how they're evolving, you know, in the current pandemic and how COVID has affected their work, they are focusing on research, learning more, taking the time to be resourceful, tapping into new ideas and just new information that is out there. Also focusing on forming communities, collaborating with other organizations or persons who are doing similar work to them, you know, in order to just join this grand effort in tackling the issues that they're respectively tackling. And also just doing what we're doing here, going viral, going virtual, going online, trying to engage as much as we possibly can. So to those who are just joining us or who joined us a bit late, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are at the Mary C. Cole Hall October Forum. I'm your host, Antoinette Hines. I'm a student of the University of the West Indies. I am also a female rights advocate, co-directing a small non-profit organization called Girls Who Know. And I mean, there's a plethora of other things, but today we have with us founder of Elsa's Blend, Richard Griffiths, head of the counseling unit at UWI Mona, Devian Chambers, and the founder and executive director of Her Flow Foundation. If you haven't got the gist, we are tackling period awareness, we're tackling mental health, we're talking to experts in the field, experts in mental health, and reproductive health. So I will turn over now to Taji Drummond. I would like to ask Taji, you know, what led the Mary C. Cole Hall planning team to, you know, staging this event? Why are we here?
All right, so hi everyone. I'm the hall chairwoman of Mary C. Cole Hall, and really and truly reproductive rights wasn't a thing to me before university. It really wasn't. It was me coming and facing an all-women's hall and not understanding certain things. It was my resident advisors, my SSDM, and the women on hall teaching me certain things and exposing me to reproductive health and rights. And I'm also a part of Girls Who Know JA, which basically led me into seeing certain things. So that level of exposure and seeing what women go through, I also follow up with the works of Miss Weeks, and I see what women go through. I may not go through it. I don't have period pains. I do not suffer like that. I do have a bit of mental health thing going on sometimes, but period pains was never a thing for me. So I didn't think about it enough. So coming on a hall filled with women, it was me trying to learn more. I saw myself trying to learn more. And with my hall committee, a lot of them experienced period pain, so they were very much excited to actually have this forum. So I'm really excited for you guys to learn more about mental health, to learn more about your periods, and know that you can have painless periods. Nothing, you don't. As Miss Weeks said, pain and period not synonymous. It's not exclusive. So I really hope that this session is informative for the persons out there listening on YouTube, and I really hope that you do enjoy what is going on here and you learn a lot from it. So the Mary C. Cole Hall Committee really appreciates you being here. Over to you, Antoinette.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taji. Okay, so we are now at the most important segment of today, the Q&A. We are going to tackle first period awareness or reproductive health. I have some questions to ask you, Dr. Shelly-Ann, and then I'll ask Richard some questions as well, and then over to you, Debbie. So, Shelly, tell us, why are menstrual cramps so painful?
All right. So I have become a fan of a gentleman by the name of Dr. Neil Bernard. Google it. His work focuses on hormones and how hormones affect the body. His straight up explanation for menstrual pain, menstrual cramps, is we have a level of estrogen that the more, like it gets to a comfortable level where it's not painful. And then beyond that, the more estrogen we have is the more discomfort we have. So our body releases estrogen around the time when we start to become fertile in our cycle. And what happens is this estrogen helps to build up that liner, the lining that our uterus has prepared itself for pregnancy. Because that is all the female body does, prepare for pregnancy.
Right.
So in the absence of a pregnancy, that lining sheds, and that's what makes up our periods. But what happens when we have this excess estrogen in our system is that the lining is thicker and the muscles on the uterine wall has to work harder to help it shed. You realize that those months where you have those really big clots, or if you're clotting a lot, it's more painful. That is because the lining is thicker. And like I said, the uterus is working harder to release the lining. I have seen many different descriptions from doctors where they say the effect is almost as painful as actual labor pain, labor cramps, right? Because it's almost the same thing, because the uterus is trying to release that lining, so it contracts. What you can do, which is why what you eat is so important, what he says happens is, if you eat a high fiber diet, when your body has that estrogen spike, what happens is your body will take that estrogen, if you eat a high fiber diet, and send it to the liver, and the liver will deposit it as waste, which sends it to the lower intestine where your waste go, and the fiber will help you get rid of it through that way, so it doesn't get to go into your uterus and make the lining thicker than it needs to be. Dr. Neil Bernard writes a book called, well, he might about 15 books, but this particular one that speaks to hormones is called The Body in Balance, Your Body in Balance. Excellent book. It's very detailed. He talks a lot about reproductive health, talks a lot about how you can improve your reproductive health, what you can do with what you eat to prevent a lot of the pain that we go through, and address things from migraine to asthma to menstrual cramps to even erectile dysfunction. So it's a very good book. I recommend all of us get it. But really what your body is doing is compensating for the fact that your hormones are not in balance. One of the other symptoms that we feel when we have extra estrogen in our system is that we have some of those emotional and mental symptoms where we get flustered, or we're just unable to concentrate. I don't know if you're ever doing anything yet and you're unable to concentrate, and you feel annoyed, and you tend to be very frustrated, and sometimes it's just a function of eating something with some fiber in it and taking a 5, and you go back to it and you're fine. But because we don't connect those dots, we don't know what to do about them. Okay, so bottom line is, a lot of the things that we eat, especially when we are on our period, the things that bring us comfort are also bringing us pain. Because a lot of the things that we eat actually adds to the pain and the symptoms, and so it tastes nice and it goes down and you feel good eating it, but the result is now your body has to find some way to process all of this refined sugar, this additional estrogen that you're eating in your dairy foods, all of this processed food with all the chemicals in it, and it's not getting any nutrition. And that is why we feel so much pain.
Thank you. That was very insightful. So personally, right, I have stopped consuming meat for almost 2 years now. I've cut out dairy since this year, kind of, sort of. But I noticed a significant change in just my own menstrual cycle. I no longer have severe menstrual cramps as before. And I think too, drinking a lot more water,
yes,
having a lot of fruits, And as you said, the fiber really, really helps. So, I mean, my cycle can begin and I'll be in no pain at all for the duration of it. So that's very insightful information. I really hope you guys are taking notes. If though you need to read up some more, definitely check out the book, Your Body in Balance, correct?
Yes, Your Body in Balance, Dr. Neil Bernard. Seriously, he does really, like, because of him, I'm going to medical school next year.
Oh, wow.
Continuing work.
Okay, ladies, so check out that book or that article. If you're able to find something online, certainly Google Neil Bernard to read up some more on, you know, why menstrual cramps are painful and how you can adjust your lifestyle to, you know, stop having painful cramps. So the next question I'd ask you, do you think we should visit the doctor if we are unable to track our cycles? Do you think, you know, regular doctor visits are necessary?
What do you mean unable to track your cycles? What are you having a problem with?
Perhaps they just can't track it. Maybe they're just not sure, or if it's irregular, or they probably don't have the technology to track it or to know, you know, when to expect their periods per month.
All right, we can fix that problem right now. Okay, this is how you track your period. The first day of your period. Oh, I need a calendar. All right, so some people have, your period can go from 28 up to as much as 36 days. So not everybody has a 28-day cycle. You might have a 30-day cycle. You might have a 32-day cycle. It depends, and your cycle don't stay the same all the time. Depending on what's going on in your life, if you start exercising, for example, that will change your cycle, because when you start exercising, you change the body chemistry, you change how your body is functioning, and it will affect your menstrual cycle as well. So if your period normally come the 14th of the month and you start exercise, it might start coming the 18th of the month, because your body is going to adjust, your body is going to change, because the chemical reaction to the exercise in your body is going to change. Okay, and exercise is just one factor, as an example. So let us say you have a 28-day cycle. If you have a calendar, if your period starts today, which is the 31st of October, okay? That will be the first day of your period. So you start counting from today, count 28. Who have a calendar? No, count and tell me, man. Why don't I have a calendar? Anyway. So you count 28 days. Now, usually, the 29th day, on average, will mark the beginning of your next period. But like I said, this is a guideline. If it starts on the 30th day, you're fine. 31st day, you're fine too. Depends on what's going on. If you're stressed out, it's going to affect your period. It might make it come before even the 28th day because you're stressed out. Because when you have stress, your body responds to stress as well. Your body secretes hormones when you have stress, and it affects whole heap of body functions, including your period. Okay? So it is not very hard, and you also have to pay attention to your body. Watch your symptoms. Some of us have tender breasts. I used to get that. I used to get tender breasts. I used to get little back pain, like maybe a week before my period starts. I don't get no symptoms at all anymore, right? But just pay attention to your own body and your own circumstance, because you can, a lot of times when you look at what's going on, especially for athletes, you realize that athletes, when they're in competition and when they're not in competition, their body is two different animals. Two different animals. Just because of how they have to train. And that affects everything, because they're eating different when they're in competition, they're training a lot more, they're probably not sleeping as much. All of those things affect your hormone levels, okay? So just to recap, your first day of your period is day 1. Count, for example, for 28-day cycles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 27, 28. Day number 29 is about when we expect a period to start again.
Right.
But you get that?
Yes. Got it.
There you go.
All right, great. Okay, so what would you say is the biggest misconception, you know, that women have, that you have interacted with about their periods?
Oh, that's easy. Periods are supposed to be painful. I mean, we should think about that.
It doesn't have to be painful.
Well, to the point where when I go in a classroom and I say 30 kids, how many of you have painful period? 27 hand go up. For the 3 girls that the hand don't go up, they said, Miss, what's wrong with me? I don't feel period. I don't feel pain with my period. Something must wrong with me, Miss. What is wrong with me? So they think they're the ones who have a problem.
Yeah. Okay. So how badly does period poverty affect Jamaicans?
Okay. So based on my personal research, every school that I go to, I have a questionnaire that I ask all the teachers to complete, and we interview some of the girls as well. Based on the correlated data from that, 44% of 7th grade girls are affected by period poverty. Of yet, there hasn't been national research done on period poverty, but it is my personal belief that just based on the work that I do on the ground, I think about 50% of women experience period poverty. I don't think 50% of them experience it all the time, but I think that it affects them. So what I mean is, every month, when a woman have make her money or whatever, and she pay her bills them and all of those things, she have some money leave to buy personal care items for herself. Sometimes that have to get cut based on what's going on, and she don't buy personal care items for herself because her child needs something. And then you have the household that has more than one woman in the house, more than one females. So you have the mother and the daughter and maybe an auntie or somebody. So the period bill can grow. And sometimes them just simply can't afford it. It's not consistently the case, but they just simply can't afford it. So it is my personal belief that it's about 50%. But the empirical research has not been done yet. I am actively seeking funding to do that.
Awesome. I was just about to say, if you have any plans in the works in actually getting that research done, because I personally, in school right now, I'm doing a campaign, a social marketing campaign on period poverty. And for the life of me, I am unable to find any data, any research that can give me an idea of, you know, what it really looks like here in Jamaica.
Outside of the work that I've done, it doesn't exist, because I did that too. I tried to find out. As a matter of fact, when I started to talk about period poverty, everybody said me I make up things, not so impossible. I must get out of them face with my lies. So it has not been done yet, but I'm active. And any millionaires or billionaires on here looking and they want to invest in something, feel free to link me. embraceherflow@gmail.com. We'll talk.
Yes, definitely. Any investors out there, please feel free. Okay, so 2 questions in one. First, what's the normal length of periods, right? And then after having that period, what are ways in which we can replenish, you know, what was lost?
All right, well, first of all, the data says 4 to 7 days is a normal period. That is something I had to unlearn. Because whenever I talk to people who eat the way I do, who have an active lifestyle, who are for all the regular expectations healthy, they have 3 to 4 day periods. Their periods don't go beyond the 4 days. So is it that our periods are really supposed to go up to 7 days or even beyond the 7 days? Is that healthy? When you look at the research, women of color, especially Caribbean women, we suffer from anemia. Anemia very popular in this part of the world. And having anemia gets worse when you have your period because you're losing even more blood. So is that healthy? So I think there needs to be a conversation around healthy periods versus the periods that we think we're supposed to have. we still haven't defined what a healthy period is. My own personal experience and just what I've gained and observed from the work that we do speaks to the fact that what I thought was a healthy period was not a healthy period, because we're not supposed to be clotting. Especially some of us have some massive clots. Like I'm talking to one girl one time, she said, Miss Weeks, I'm sure I gave birth. Like massive clotting, that is not healthy. We're having 9-day, sometimes 11-day periods, also not healthy. We are like adversely anemic. Women have collapsed in many, many different scenarios because they are losing so much blood. And so we have to define what a healthy period is. That has to be clear. As opposed to what we lose versus what we gain. We don't have to wait until the period finish to replenish anything. If we have all right, so I have 5 things that I tell people to do when they have them period. And after this, ask somebody else some more questions. It stress me out. Anyway, so I have 5 things that I tell people to do when they're on them periods. So improve their periods and to make them don't lose so much things. Thing number 1 is drink more water.
Yes.
We don't drink enough water anyway. And we live in a tropical climate, so we're always sweating. And because we sweat so much, we lose even more water. Whether you're fat or you're slim, you sweat between your legs. That's the thing. So we need to drink more water. So my recommendation is whatever you normally drink, double it when you have your period. Because some of the discomfort that we feel are symptoms of dehydration, like sore muscles, and you feel lackluster, and you don't have the energy, and you just, that is dehydration. If we fix the hydration, we get rid of those symptoms. The next thing that I recommend that we do is to avoid processed food. All of those things that you like to eat whenever you're eating the chips, you want something salty and crunchy, you want cake, you want donut. I'm just ruining everybody's day, but you want chocolate bars, specifically the ones with the nut and the little gooey thing in the middle. Yeah, no. Those things increases your estrogen level and makes your periods more painful and gives you more inflammation. Next thing I tell people to do is avoid dairy products. Yes, cheese and ice cream. Yes, I know, especially the ice cream, when you just get a spoon and get the tub and go to town. Sorbet is a thing, get some sorbet. Yes. Those things need to be out. How much things we reach now? 4 things that are 3. Next thing we have to do, and this is probably like, this is so important, and we ignore this, we don't pay enough attention to this, is exercise. Now I know we have our period, the last thing we want to do is exercise, but let me tell you something. You see all of those nice hormones that we release during exercise, they are natural painkillers. 1. Yeah. 2, exercise is a great way to get rid of toxins in your system. So you see all of those extra things where your body don't have any use for, like the excess hormones, and you may have some other toxins build up based upon what's going on in your mind. And my mental health expert can tell you all the good things that exercise does for the mind. Exercise. And the 5th thing is increase your iron intake. That will take care of the anemia. Right? Because we don't even eat enough iron anyway. So we're gonna start there. So get some iron in your diet. And we know the foods that have iron in them. And if you can't eat it in your food, get an iron supplement. That works too. But increase your iron intake. That will help with the nausea. That will help with the feelings of fatigue and the anemic symptoms that we normally have. So those are things that I recommend for everybody. I tell them even in my workshops, do those 5 things and you realize you'll have much healthier periods. And bonus thing, sleep. You need to sleep. Enough away, body at earth way, all kind of way, because we not sleep. Turn off the TV and go to sleep.
I hope you guys took notes from my personal lifestyle. These are 5 or 6 things. I'm still working on the sleep part, but I have the first 5 under control for a bit, and I'm telling you, it really has changed my menstrual experience 100%. I don't feel pain anymore. I have little to no pain, and it's absolutely amazing. All I had to do was avoid dairy, avoid processed foods, exercise, drink more water, have more fruits, more fiber, and yeah, take more iron and sleep, guys. It works. Take the expert herself, and take it from my personal testimonial as well. Okay, so 2 final questions, and from my experiences, I feel as though these are 2 questions that girls often ask because of just lack of knowledge or the stigma that has been attached to periods. So the first one is PMS real? Is it common to every woman, or is it just sometimes me, or is it that my emotions are as a result of PMS?
PMS is very much real. PMS is absolutely real. It's called PMS for a reason. The doctors were not just idle that day and they wanted to name something that don't exist. It is a syndrome. It's absolutely real. It absolutely affects a whole heap of women. But one of the problems what we have with PMS is this whole, it is smack dab in the middle of our conversation around stigma and shame, because it is expressed as something wrong with you mentally, like you're losing your mind, you need to go and, oh, you're just miserable today, or
right.
PMS is very, very much real. And I don't know how much work Debbie does with PMDD. Do you do any work at all? Do you have any clients that have PMDD, Debbie? Do you know?
I've had a few who've openly said it, but as you're saying, no, this is an area, even in psychology, we ignore women's issues. But I've had a few clients who talk about it, yes.
All right, well, PMDD, for those who don't know, is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And really what it is PMS plus mental issues, like depression and anxiety. And it's described as being acute, and it is immobilizing, and it affects your ability to just function. Women who have gone through PMDD, they have had thoughts of suicide. Some of them have committed suicide. They go into deep depression, sometimes for weeks at a time. They can't function. And just add that to the regular PMS symptoms, just as if we don't have enough things in our life. Here comes PMDD. So yes, PMS is absolutely real. And I think that one of the things that we have a problem with as a society is empathy and compassion.
Yep.
And that is what is needed to deal with anybody who have PMS symptoms or PMDD symptoms or any mental symptoms from that, for that matter, because the truth is, in the moment, the person who is suffering, they can only see their pain and they can only see their trauma. And if you can step back from that and see them in that space, all you have to do is to be there for them. Because in a whole heap of these situations, they have to participate in whatever treatment is going to be given for them. And it's going to be hard to do, and they're going to need some support. So we have to be more patient with one another. We have to stop using the word miserable. Every time I hear somebody use the word miserable to describe a woman, I start lecturing.
Me too.
Especially when the person is a man. I dip up under his skins. Yes. So I just think that we have to exercise some empathy. And while I'm here, I really just want to commend Richard for stepping into this space, because this is a space that a lot of women of my past, my ancestors, tried very hard to keep men out of. And to the point where little girls are punished because they are not supposed to make men experience. That's the word I was told. Men not supposed to experience your period. They're not supposed to experience it. That's what I was told. So the fact that you chose to come over here and help us, I say thank you on behalf of everybody who you have helped and everybody who you will help. Because at this point, every make a muckle, and it is something that we are all learning from, because I'm a woman and there's a whole lot of things that I am learning even about my own self. So I can't even imagine how it feels from your point of view, from your vantage point, because me still I try to figure out what's going on with me, and I live here. So, but I think that it is very commendable that you have been able to not just step into the space, but you have been effective in helping some of us deal, and I think that is important. And I would love to see more of you and more people like you. Don't even have to be another man, just people who are trying to help us have healthier periods, because it is a major part of who we are as human beings, and it is integral to the survival of the human race.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you so much, Shelly. Your segment was certainly insightful. I really hope you guys were able to have valuable takeaways. I hope you guys took your notes, but if you haven't, feel free to reach out to me after. I took plenty of notes for us, and you can also reach out to the Mexico team to get a recap of what Shelly had shared. So I'll now turn over to you, Dr. Griffiths, to share with us more about Elsa's Blends, what's the mission behind Elsa's Blends, and what inspired the naturality of all your products.
Okay, for clarity, I know persons say it, and they say it almost every day when they're talking to me, because of the wealth of knowledge as it relates to reproductive health. They do think I'm a doctor. Not yet. It's something I it's something that I'm inspired to do and will be doing, as a matter of fact. Thanks, Shelley, for acknowledging me. Barely get these level of acknowledgement. I mean, once per day maybe. But Shelley, you know what? Let me answer something for you. You see, what I've realized over the years, that when females are going through their normal day or their normal week, because I do think females get on average 1 week to really be the beautiful flower that they are, to pretty up and feel nice and do all of the fun stuff, because 1 week they're looking at okay, the insecurities of the period coming, you understand? So the depression is like 1 week before. Of course, there is a heightened level of sexual desire around that time as well. So there's the confusion going on right there, want to see only the person they want to see, and all of these mixed feelings. So the PMS, PMDD going on around that time. Then when it comes to the period now, that's so 1 week of being miserable and, all of that going on. And then the week after is also another state of insecurity, like Shelley would say, there's, okay, should I wear white? And these are things that I've been hearing from females. After the period, they don't know if it's going to just pop up again. So the insecurities of wearing white, sitting down, asking a friend to check if they're messing up places, stuff like that. What I realized, and since Shelley mentioned it, I kind of realized, and I just jotted it down here, is that because I'm a male, when the persons would tell you that sometimes you need to step away from the situation and looking at the situation, how you could deal with that. But for most women experiencing this thing, it's hard to step away from it, because there's no you coming out of the pain and standing one side and looking at it and say, okay, this is how I could deal with this problem. You understand? It's just pain, and then everything just shuts down. You understand? And like I said, there's like 1 week where you get to function, and that loss of 2 weeks or so leaves you with limited time to focus on it. So I have been the person, or the type of person who has had the chance, because I don't experience what you guys are going through, I've had the chance to step away from you, from that, not having the pain, and look into what I can go and make you a cup of tea. right? And if this one don't work, I'll make you another cup of tea. And if you tell me it work a little bit and you want it stronger, I can make you another cup of tea. You might not have the luxury of the time, of time to go and do all of this. So I've been that person to step back from the situation and come up with solutions to that problem. Now, as it relates to what you just asked, or my question there, I'll jump into it now. Um, the tea I made for menstrual cramps. This is actually, I like to explain how it works, because most persons might think it's a painkiller. It's not a painkiller. It is not. And it's research that has brought me this knowledge. What it is, and I mean, I love to listen to Shelley and her wealth of knowledge as well. Um, what it is your mini you, which I consider the uterus, that mini female down there, it's really hungry for everything that you want to eat, and even more than what you want to eat. And it's not all the time that the uterus might make a very, very good decision about what you consume. You understand the cravings associated and so forth? Yeah, it's not all the time that it will um, tell you to go and get the right thing. Now, the the period pain, or the contractions around the time of your period, is really caused by the buildup of the endometrium, right? And whenever you're supposed to have your cycle now, then there goes the problem of these tissues breaking down. The uterus will contract more or harder just to expel these tissues. And how this product work is to, it provides the body with essential omega-3s, essential nutrients. And I'll outline two of them here. One is called linoleic acids, which is an omega-3. And the other one is called alpha-linolenic acids. Now, these omega-3s help to soften those endometrium. And one of the things I've learned as well too is that because the female's uterus is so hungry for nutrients, what it does is, the minute you drink this tea, because I've been wondering, why does this tea work within 5 minutes? And what I realize now is that whenever a female drink this tea, because the uterus is so hungry for everything that you're eating, which Shelley is right, when you eat the bad things, it goes down there. You understand? It goes there and it causes problem. So because the uterus is so hungry for the nutrients, when you drink this cup of tea, within minutes, your uterus absorbs some of these nutrients, right? And it helps to soften the endometrium. And when it softens, you pass them out easier. So you pass out the clot, it's broken up, and you pass them out easier without the contraction. That's how this product works.
Okay, awesome. Wow. Definitely probably should be getting some Elsa's Blend tea after this. Okay, great. So can you let us know a bit about the side effects to the products and the price points? Is it affordable? Where can we get it? Is it easily accessible for persons?
All right. The teas are easily accessible, especially now. The teas are available in quite a number of pharmacies in Kingston. Of course, centrally located, so you can get them at York Pharmacy. Mall Pharmacy has them. That is Supermed Pharmacy in Mall Plaza. New Kingston Pharmacy has the teas. Where else? Devon House. So when you go having your cravings and you feel like getting some ice cream, it's over by Devon House at Things Jamaican. So you can get it there. And of course, it will be at the airport as well. And that's just Kingston here. Other parishes, it's in at least 2 pharmacies in every town, every major town right around Jamaica. So you can get it. As it relates to side effects, I've only heard persons complain about cinnamon. And it's very rare that persons are allergic to cinnamon, but cinnamon is the flavor that we added to the tea. So persons might have a little bit of allergic reaction to the cinnamon, which of course you can we're here for you. You can send us a message and we can customize a blend for you. I've done that on several occasions. We're a small company, we can customize a blend for you. So that's the only side effect there. To protect you, the female, like I mentioned, how the teas work. If you're talking about side effects, I would not recommend that you drink this tea right through the month. All right, because it keeps the endometrium soft. And if you want, that can be a side effect for you. You understand? If it's soft, then obviously you will continue to spot throughout the month if you're drinking this tea every single day. So what we've done to regulate how you use this product is to add 4 tea bags only to each box. So we have this really tiny box right here. It only has 4 tea bags, as thin as this. So this is 4 tea bags. And this is one of the only teas that you'll see in Jamaica with the omega-3 symbol on it. We tested. We know that it's there. The Bureau understand that it's there. That's Bureau Standard Jamaica. So it is there, and the price. Now, so you understand, not 24 teas in the box because you might overdo it, right? So we're not mean or anything. It's just to protect persons, to make sure you don't OD on it. And the other thing to the pricing, it is priced under $1,000. So for the average person who might only have period for, like, say, 4 days then, right? And the first 2 days would be painful, or maybe 1 day of pain. If this box, this little box here, is actually like 4 months supply. All right, so you might just need one this month and you're good for the rest of the month. Next month, you go for another tea bag. Yeah, so the average female would only need 3 boxes of this for their entire year.
Awesome. Wow, that's great. Okay, so finally, how do your products assist persons who have endometriosis?
That's a good question. This tea will definitely give you a hint as to whether you have endometriosis or not. You understand? Because the normal thing that should happen every month is that your endometrium, these tissues, you should pass them out, right? So if you pass these out and you're still having pain beyond your period, especially what I've noticed with persons with endometriosis, that right after the period, before, I should say, before, like a week before, 2 weeks before, they're having pain, right? A week after the period, they're still in pain. As a matter of fact, the pain might go away, right? On average, there are 7 days, because most persons with endo tend to bleed or have their periods prolonged. So they'll have maybe 7 days. So after the 7 days and they think the period is over, right? Then the pain kicks in again. All right. So if you have used this product, which should work and will work for almost every female who uses once, you don't have any of these chronic illnesses. If you use this product and you're still experiencing pain, you can, one, get in touch with us. Let's have a discussion about the symptoms that you're having, and then we can discuss whether or not these symptoms are aligned with endometriosis. Now, I am a firm believer, and I want you to hear me out clear. I'm a firm believer that endometriosis is not a mutation. All right, like all those things that you would read online and so on. Now, I don't want to throw in conspiracy here, but I do think that it is contributed or spreads around the body because of parasites. And a lot of females, I realize, they don't really detoxify their bodies. A lot of females, they eat. Now, you say we own cars, some of us, of course, and we change the oil every couple, miles and whatever, but we keep eating. We keep eating, consuming things, consuming toxic foods, as a matter of fact, and we're never, ever taking the time out to change our oil, if you understand me, to flush our system and start putting new things in, new food, and trying to function better. A lot of females don't really do that. So I realized that there's no explanation for those tissues, the endometrium, which is what they say tissues similar to. Now, the process of changing compounds are changing the whole function or buildup of something or slightly changing it, it has to be processed, and it must be processed somewhere. So if you're finding cells that are similar to the endometrium in other places of the body, on the ovaries, on the intestines, on your navel, stuff like that, something took it there. You understand? It either got into the bloodstream, yeah, but God didn't make your body porous, and so blood can just go wherever it wants. So something took it there. So I believe that parasites play a role in transmitting and transferring the endometrium from one part of the body to the next. And that's the only way you can explain the endometriosis getting up to the brain and all over parasites. So I do encourage persons to detox occasionally. Detox, deworm, get parasitic cleanse. So that's how my product would kind of tell you that endometriosis is present. Now, this little bottle of tincture, if you check out our Instagram page, Facebook page, you'll see a doctor, Dr. Kyan Smith. She has endometriosis and she has been using this product for a while. I actually have students too from UA who had tried this product and maybe went on to do some other products and started to complain and came back on the product and so. But there are persons who have been through using this product for pain management. It's no cure. I cannot promise a cure, you understand? But this can definitely manage the pain. It's 4 doses inside here. That's what I've narrowed this down to. 1.5 teaspoons and you're good per episode. You understand? So that's the product in development now for endometriosis.
Awesome. Amazing, amazing, amazing work. Okay, ladies, so I hope you guys took note of that. Elsa's Blend is your plug for holistic pain relief for menstrual symptoms. It's pretty affordable, under $1,000. If you have questions or personal issues that are a bit different, feel free to reach out to them to have a consultation and just to figure out what would be best for you. All right, so that's...
And one other thing, as it relates to consultations, we don't charge to talk to persons. I'm not charging anybody to help them. You understand? I'm open. I mean, I use the computer a whole lot. If you can talk instead of text, I'm fine. So if you want to make a phone call and talk to me about the symptoms, that is fine. I'm open to that. So the numbers are there. You can go on the Instagram page and get in touch with us. And yeah, we'll have the conversation about it. And I hope persons will just stop stigmatizing this whole period thing. Yeah, it's perfectly normal. And for Shelley, one of the takeaway from this too is that the misconception, of course, the pain, people thinking that if they're not having pain, then they're not having a period or something's wrong with them and stuff like that. It's out there. The other thing too, for the ones who are having painful periods, they are wishing their periods away. And not that it's just psychologically happening. What's happening too is that the food that they're consuming is affecting their periods and causing their periods to become irregular. Now, a female won't complain, like a young girl won't necessarily complain when she's missing her period. That is no period, no pain, fun time. 1 whole month of fun, 2 months of fun, 3 months of fun. You understand? And they go on until they're like 20 something, and every one of the other friends now having babies and having the family and so forth, and they're not having kids, and they're wondering, okay, what is wrong? What was wrong, what has been wrong, is that you have not been having your period, because when you're not having it, you're happy, and you think it's just okay for you to not have your period and be a woman. No, there's a condition when you're missing your period. There's this condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome that is being developed. That's where you get beard like mine. All right? Maybe not gray, but yeah, you definitely get beard like mine. So when we need to educate them, to let these young girls know, one, the period doesn't have to be painful, and two, try to make sure as a female, get your period every month. As long as you're not pregnant, get your period every month, because this is the difference between you transitioning slightly to a male and being a female. That's the difference. All right? Polycystic
I
ovarian.
don't know if I phrase it like that to compare it to transition into a man, but I really wanted to second that point, because I think that we don't link period to a healthy lifestyle. Period, having a regular period is a healthy thing. Your flow needs to happen, and it was designed that way for a reason, and it affects your overall health. It is just not a nuisance. It's just not something there to stop your fun. It is really very necessary to your overall health as a woman. And that is something that I think that particular point is not made often enough. And about polycystic ovarian syndrome, one of the biggest symptoms that doctors use to determine if a woman has PCOS is when she turns up having difficulty having a child, when she can't get pregnant. And that is usually the first thing. Once they figure that out, they say, okay, so when was your last period? And then they realize that, oh, you have not been having regular periods. And yes, sometimes you'll present some masculine looking symptoms as well, but that's not always the case. That will happen too, because I've seen like full on beard sometimes on some of these women who have PCOS. But it is really very important that you have a menstrual flow every month. There are some persons who are using birth control to stop their periods for various reasons. That's different. But if you're not on a birth control, if you're not having a particular treatment going that's stopping your period, because sometimes persons are being treated for other things, and the medication that they're on affects their ability to have a regular period. If you're just going through your life and your period is not showing up, that's a cause for alarm. Go and have a conversation with your doctor. I don't care how old you are. If you're 17 or 27, you need to have that conversation, because perhaps, maybe, slim chance, if they catch it at 17, something can probably be done to help you. But when you reach 33 and you haven't had a period from your 17 until 33, the doctor can't help you.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Exactly. So those are some of the things, and not just to stop there. Having your periods prolong as well. These are actual signs of polycystic ovarian syndrome as well. All right, so it's not just not having your period or periodically having it. It's if it's continuing, if it's going on for months and then it stopped for another couple months, and this is irregular periods, and it is associated with polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Okay, thank you so much, Richard and Shalian, for engaging us on period awareness, reproductive health. I hope we are more, aware and educated about what healthy periods look like, how you can adjust your lifestyle to reduce, menstrual cramps, debunking different misconceptions, and then obviously getting a bit of insight into what Elsa's blend offers in helping us to not have, painful menstrual cramps anymore, knowing the side effects, how it can assist us with endometriosis and other reproductive health issues. So thank you so much to you guys. We will now dive right into the mental health segment with Dr. Debian Chambers. We have a few questions to ask.
Sure.
So first, what can university students do to protect their mental health?
Well, I think quite a bit of what we've been hearing and talking about so far is essential to mental health. So if you think of diet, what you eat, exercise, and I'm big on creativity, right? This is important to your emotional well-being. And I also think about healthy relationships because we are relational beings, right? Healing occurs in relationships. That's my big feeling. But I think too often in our society, we don't talk about what a healthy relationship is. So again, that's what you eat, exercising, being creative, whatever creativity means to you, and engaging in healthy relationships. Very important to your mental health.
Okay, awesome. So, and I'm sure you would bid this advice to us, during the COVID time as well. For sure, personally, I'm really big on creativity too, and for me, it's a really important outlet for me to be able to, express and to create something. It takes my mind away from, everything else that's going on, and provides a delicate balance to the hustle and the hard work that we put in daily, whether it be academically or professionally. So for sure, I know most of us tuning in today are university students, and even if you aren't, just being able to be self-aware and listening to your mind, being observant of your thoughts and listening to your body, diet, exercise, and be creative, express yourself. You can try gardening, you can try painting, whatever it may be, do it so that you can provide yourself with that holistic experience and not burn yourself thin.
Exactly.
Right. So how does one battle through mental health issues while living and engaging with family members, all while attending university? I know this is a sensitive question,
but it's a real question. It's a real question. So
as a result of COVID, a lot of us have been displaced back to home.
Yeah.
And I know that those situations aren't necessarily, good for
the
us.
healthiest.
How is it that we can battle through these mental health issues, battling, whatever relationship issues with their family members, all while mindful.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take a step back and then I'm going to answer your question. I just want to highlight, put exclamation point beside your point about creativity. A line from one of Lorna Goodison's poems came up for me, which is some of my worst wounds have healed into poems. We are, my mentor, Professor Hickling, when he was with us, he recently passed on, used to talk about our cultural DNA, which is a lot about sports and dance and music, and these things are quite healing. And I would say, especially for the university students, because sometimes I remember when I went to university here, you must beat book 24/7, and you're not asleep and them thing there, and that is what will get you through. But your creativity is something that you should not ignore. All right. No, some people, what you say is very real. So I'm at home. I'm in a toxic environment. This person cussing, family war, trying to go into class and them asking me to wash plate and sweep out house. And how am I going to survive and manage that? All right. So first thing is I don't want to give anybody any fantasy, right? There's no magic pill you can take or thing you can set to yourself that's going to make everything go away. So it is to be compassionate with yourself. It's okay not to be okay. Sometimes it's okay to be frustrated. However, we have to manage. And again, this is where community comes into play. So having people in your life who you can talk to, you can express yourself to and get certain things off your chest is very, very important. Sometimes we go to the source to like, no, you should understand how I feel. I'm going to tell it to you. You must get it. And that only creates further frustration because sometimes there are people in our lives who will not get it. So the community is very important. Another thing is acceptance. I preach that a lot, and some of my students don't like when I preach it, but I have to preach it, right? Sometimes we have to accept that the people closest to us, whether it's our family, for example, cannot give us what we need.
Right.
And that's really hard, but we often go, no, you must, you should. But sometimes we have to accept that for whatever intergenerational issues, you can't get it there. And when you accept, you're better able to mourn, because you have to mourn it, you have to feel it, grieve it, let it go, and then you can make a better plan for yourself of how you want to move forward. So often I will say a lot of not only students, but adults stuck in trying to make something work that just it not gonna work. And accepting that is important. And sometimes when we accept it, our attitude towards it changes, our attitude towards people change. And interestingly, that can change the dynamic in relationships. So having a community where you can vent, accepting it. Another important thing is setting boundaries. Sometimes it's something like, okay, I need to set boundaries. During this time to this time, I don't exist, right? You might see me, but I don't really exist because I have to be in classes. So being able to say no, which that going to sound simple, right? Just say no. It's not so simple. And I'm going to tell you for myself who preach, it is not so simple. And that's where the self-compassion and the community and the support comes in, because we need support in setting boundaries. I think that I would say cisgendered women in particular are raised to believe that you must just give yourself to everybody, right? And to be a woman means you must always sacrifice yourself. That's what we learn growing up. And when we give away ourselves, we have nothing for ourselves left. So this is where boundaries will come in. Sometimes we're afraid that if we set a boundary, so if we say to a family member, or we say even to a close friend, because we have toxic friends, no, I can't be there for you now, we're going to lose love and we're going to be alone. And that's not true, right? There's a wonderful line that comes to mind that when you set a boundary with somebody, if they have a bad reaction to it, that's just further proof that you needed to set a boundary in the first place. So support, self-compassion. You mentioned being aware of your feelings. That's an act of self-love, to be aware and curious of your feelings. Acceptance, and setting boundaries, very important. Sometimes you just have to, honestly, this might not sound psychological, but sometimes you just have to suck salt through spoon and bide the time until you can get into a better position for yourself.
Okay, great. So what would you say constitutes a positive mental health? Is it, actually deliberately actioning the points that you just made, or is it something a bit more comprehensive?
Sure. It varies for different people. I think I fall into this too. Sometimes we fall into this stereotype that good mental health means you're happy all the time. I don't know about you, Antoinette, but I don't know anybody who's happy all the time. That just doesn't exist. And so it really, really varies from one person to another. Great mental health for me might mean that I have a space where I'm alone a lot because I'm an introvert. For you, that would be the worst thing ever, right? So again, it really depends. But if I were to name maybe two things that come to my mind right now, I would say having a good, healthy relationship with yourself, which means knowing and understanding your emotions, respecting them, being compassionate with yourself, and having healthy relationships with others are good signs of good mental health.
Okay, so what would you say are some signs of like not being okay? So for example, that's the question. What are some signs?
All right, so psychologists and psychiatrists and social workers, etc., mental health professionals often believe that if you're experiencing something that's starting to get into the way of what you call your occupational functioning, so your ability to work and go to school, that's getting in the way of your relationships, and that's posing a danger to yourself and others, those are big red flags. So what does that mean? Let me break it down. If you're having thoughts, for example, that you want to kill yourself, that you're starting to feel down and the pressure is too much and you would rather just kill yourself. No, if we're going to be honest, I would say about 90% of us here have had that thought at least one time in our life, right? At least 90%. Shelly, and you fall into the great 10%, right? But many of us have had that thought. So the thought alone is a signal that things are starting to go off balance. However, the thought alone don't mean you're going to go and do something. Right. If you start having that thought and you start fantasizing about ways that you would do it, or you find yourself making plans, those are two huge red flags. Mm-hmm. All right, so that's out there. If you find yourself, now sometimes some people, they will take a little drink or they will smoke a little weed or they will, okay. If you're finding that you're doing it so much, university students, that you cannot get out of your room and, well, you're not actually going to class now. If you can't log online and go to your class, if you're not giving in your assignments, those are red flags, right? So everything is in moderation, right? So that's very important. If you can't get out of bed, if you can't take care of yourself, if you're not showering, if you're not eating, these are like your functioning is deteriorating. These are some huge red flags.
Okay, so are the counseling services at UA still active? And yes. Are they responsive?
Yes, well, I would say we're responsive because I'm online with you now on a Saturday evening, right? And we actually have another counselor online at Chancellor Hall. So we try to make ourselves available. Now, the reality is we have about anywhere from 19 to 20,000 people on the Mona campus. COVID has affected that a bit. And we have right now 3 counselors and 1 psychiatrist on the Mona campus. At other universities internationally, the ratio is supposed to be 1 to 1,500. But we see student, staff, and staff dependent. So if I throw away and at 20,000, that is almost 1 to 7,000, which is like 3 or 4 times what the average should be. So I know sometimes that students are frustrated, like, but you see on TV where you're supposed to see a counselor every week, and Dr. Chambers and Mrs. B and Dr. Shields, I tell you, say, you can only see me once every 3 weeks, right? So we deal in Jamaica, like many people, we struggle with resources. But what we're trying to do, especially in this COVID time, is do more online things. We have our VLE container where we post slides for people to read. I'm doing groups. I do journal workshops because I'm big into the journaling and the poetry. And we're doing lots of workshops and so on for various halls. We also have PSPs, peer support providers, who are doing online things and just being there for the community. And we are sort of working with other departments to help them to offer a mentally healthy environment to their staff and their students.
Great. So guys, you have no excuse.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Need.
Yes. And we're doing online counseling, I should say. Let me say that. So we are open. We're doing everything virtually. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. And we can find you where exactly?
So we are located in the University Health Center. Right now, because of COVID, we don't want to make you be walking into the health center. You don't know what you're walking into. You have to sit in our office for 40 minutes with somebody. That's not healthy right now. So we're asking people to call us at 876-970-1992. That's university students, staff dependents. And we will book you a session, an intake with one of our counselors if you feel that's what you need. We also have our UWI Helps line, which has been around pre-COVID and continues, where people can call, text, or WhatsApp to speak to a trained counselor. That number is 876-294-0042. It's a 24-hour line. The person might not pick up because it's one counselor right away, but we'll get back to you within 24 hours.
Okay, Shelly, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. I know that right now a lot of persons' lives have changed, including my own since COVID. And so they're spending a lot of time by themselves without a lot of the stimulus that we normally would have in terms of entertainment. They don't have anywhere to go. They don't have anything to do. Maybe they're working from home. And I don't know about you, but sitting in front of a computer for 8 straight hours, answering
It's
questions
tiring.
and emails and things. Not just tiring, but like mentally, you feel like you want to scratch your eyes out. So what advice do you have for persons who are struggling with this? Like for me, I've found ways to deal, because one of the things that I've incorporated in my life that I didn't have before COVID, interestingly enough, is exercise. Like
Yes.
I got my eating down pat. I'm very big on nutrition. Like if you come to Auntie Shelly house, you're only getting vegetables to eat, no chicken nuggets down there, no ice cream down there. You're gonna enjoy the food, but you're only eating something that's giving you something for your body. But exercise is something that I have put in my life because of COVID, because I realized that I need to get up in the morning and get dressed and go do something. That's what I do with exercise. But what do you recommend for somebody who is just, they're going through the motions, they're
Yes.
mentally, they're just spent.
Yes.
Recommend
Yes.
for that person.
Okay, so I'm going to recommend some things, but I want to also highlight what you said, because that's so true. What I have been noticing a lot is that people are losing their usual coping techniques. So sometimes we did keep busy because there's a certain trauma in our life where we know we can't face, we don't want to face, and we keep really busy. Or as Antoinette said, there's some family or other relational issues that we're trying to avoid. Sometimes going to the party give us a sense of purpose and self-esteem. Yeah. All of a sudden, these things aren't available, and some of those old ghosts coming up again. So I've talked to people, and when I point out, do you realize you have trauma history? It's like, oh, that is what's happening. And to just be aware of that makes them feel less, quote unquote, crazy. Okay, it's not says something wrong with me. Is that this, I don't have my coping, and that's why I feel like I'm losing myself. Because a lot of people have said to me, look, Doc, I just feel like I'm losing myself. I don't know myself anymore. So to have that self-compassion is very important. And I say to get in touch with your feelings is an act of self-love. Right? So just to be curious, don't beat yourself up, because a lot of we beat ourselves up, but just to be curious. We have what we call 7 core feelings. I always forget one, but I'll try and remember. Joy, grief, disgust, anger, excitement, sexual excitement. And I tell you, I always forget one. I will remember it. Probably
that's okay,
one that I should remember.
Sexual excitement. That's my favorite one.
Right. But for some of us, one of these feelings just hard. And when it starts to come to the surface, which is normal, we start to feel shame or anxiety or guilt. But if you take away the shame, the anxiety or guilt, and be curious about the feelings, that helps us as an act of self-love. All right. So that's the one part. But then the practical things, keeping a routine. So you say, okay, I might not have that typical, I go out, I go to work, I do this, but say, okay, I'm going to get up at a certain time and I'm going to go to bed at a certain time, because the routine helps. It gives us structure, right? Exercise is so important because, as you said, Shelly-Ann, it releases those feel-good chemicals, those feel-good hormones, and that can really combat some of the depressive things that we're feeling. So the exercise is really important. The nutrition, as much as I say nutrition, I recognize like economic deprivation for people, right? But the nutrition is important. Journaling, but not just like writing for 45 minutes, because to tell you the truth, sometimes that can lead us down into some rabbit hole, but taking like 5 to 10 minutes in a quiet place or a beautiful place, if you can be outside, if you can reconnect with nature, maybe a gratitude journal, to look at, to try and make meaning of your life. If you're a spiritual person, reconnecting to some of those spiritual and core values and say, okay, I'm going to reframe this and use this time as an opportunity to reconnect. And again, social support is necessary. So we're doing the social distancing, yes, but put on your mask, keep your distance, and go out and say hi to somebody. Go out and say hi to an elderly neighbor who's really alone right now, because that act of loving somebody else can make us feel good about ourselves too. So you might feel say nothing now go on, but when you really look at it, there are opportunities that you can take. And I say, let me tell you, a double exclamation point exercise, because I'm big on exercise these days. And after like 30 minutes of HIIT, I just said, boy, they be strong, you feel good, you feel like you can take on the world. And you know, that hypes you up, that gives you good self-esteem. So yeah, these are some of the things for sure.
Okay, awesome. Love that. So I know you mentioned earlier that you don't think there is a lot of support or enough work being done to making mental health a priority here in Jamaica. And, you know, as you said, mental health promotion. Do you think that government officials take mental health seriously?
Okay, so I'm going to be honest. To answer that, probably Shelly can answer that. But to people say I'm politically correct now. But to say I really would need more information, because to tell you the truth, sometimes we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. And to tell you the truth, there are a lot of initiatives. So I can think like the Violence Prevention Alliance. I can think of Carrie Mensa and the work that they're doing, but we are not funded. Okay, Shelly said, me not have to hold my tongue, which is I'm gonna say it. I think that more money, let's just be honest, more money could be put into some of the initiatives that have shown themselves to work in Jamaica, but this small person or organization doing it usually runs out of a grant, and when the grant done, the work done, and the work has been shown to be effective, but it can't continue. So we need more money. That's a big thing. We need more support for community mental health. I know Professor Hickling, again, he was my mentor, so I always bring up his name. He did a lot of initiatives in the community, but I don't know, I think we tend to think that mental health issues, you must lock it away and it must go in a hospital or a private office somewhere. But no, mental health is a community issue. And I think more resources need to go there. So we need more money. And if we're mentally healthy, we're more productive. That's just the reality. So we are going to make more money anyway. But
increase everything for national development. Yes, Shelley, go ahead.
I just want to say, just to expand on that point,
yes,
that I think for us to successfully address this pandemic that we're in, we have completely ignored two very important points that I don't hear anybody from the Ministry of Health talking about, and I don't hear any policymaker talking about, and I think they are integral to our success in dealing with this virus in a real way, and that is nutrition and mental health. I think this conversation around mental health is so integral that it requires every single one of us, and not just the mental professionals. Yes. You talk about community mental health. I'm not even quite sure what you mean when you say it, but it just makes sense to me, because that is what it's going to require. All of them little old people there where you see in the community where can't help themselves, it's going to require the young people them to go in there and help them. They need to be mobilized. They need to understand it. And I feel like screaming every time somebody tell me that eating healthy is more expensive than not eating healthy. The cheapest way to eat right now is healthy, because I guarantee you, if you stop that meat, you're immediately your grocery bill chop. Immediately. Just take meat off of your grocery bill. Immediately. No business from chicken back right back to oxtail. Stop that meat and see how much less money you spend. That's all I'm going to say on that.
It's true.
Shelley, it is true, but I think, I don't know what you call it, but I'll tell you what it is, and then you put it in terms. You know, back in the days when grandma used to give away and cook chicken back, right, Shelly? And you know that little piece that we used to take and it looked like one spoon and we use it and eat the rice too? We're taking revenge on that right now. So because we used to get that back then and now we have the above we have money can things change. We can buy some KFC and we can get what we did a wish for. You understand? So now people, it's like when you tell them, like when I talk to females that have fibroids and so on, say, listen, one of the first things they need to give up is chicken. Them coming like them whirl or fall apart. You understand? There's no life without chicken. There's no life without Lasco. You understand?
Yeah.
So we need to educate persons on how. I think somebody for come do one nice like a free cooking show, Shelly, for show people how them can make one sandwich when they use no meat at all. Just your onion, your scallion, you understand? Them look at something that your tomato and make one sandwich and encourage them. You understand? We have we call it now lentils we can use and them things that my God, man.
Yep.
Can I just add to that? Hold
on there, but that point that you make a while ago when you say people have money now and them can buy the things they want to buy, like that is it. That is it. Because certain things beneath them.
Yeah.
They have to buy the steak and they have to buy the bucket of chicken. And they have to go to the restaurant that serve them half a chicken for themselves. Remember, half a chicken used to have to feed one entire family, you know? Now one person
for the week.
Half a chicken.
For the week.
Yeah. One person that gets half a chicken in their plate for one meal. Go ahead, baby.
Well, I just want to say, because I'm sure many of my students have seen me going to a certain place on campus and coming back with my boxed chicken and so forth. What I would recommend is that, because I really am so inspired by this conversation and what Shelly and Richard are saying, students advocate for places on campus that serve healthy meals. Probably I'm going to get myself in problems now. But I was shocked when the new place opened up on campus was a new fast food place. You understand? And I'm just like, why is it a foreign fast food place that opens up on university campus? Warm to the little over here that you can, because the truth is sometimes you're on campus and I said, gosh, I really shouldn't eat the meat and whatever, but what else is there to eat? So we have to advocate. And this is where now my advocacy comes in. We want to be healthy. Let's advocate for a campus that provides.
As far as I'm concerned, we vote with our dollars. And that is really what it comes down to. As long as we are buying the stuff, they're going to continue selling it.
True.
Why did you think McDonald's had to start serving fruit with their Happy Meals? You think they just got up one day and said, let's put some fruit in the Happy Meals for the children? What happened is mothers stopped carrying their children to McDonald's because they're saying they don't have anything healthy on the menu for them to eat. And they're like, we can't lose this customer base. These people make us all these millions of dollars. Just imagine if somebody went into a popular fast food restaurant and said, look here, if I cannot get a salad with my burger or my chicken instead of fries, I'm not coming back in here.
Right, 2 twos.
1,000 people do it in a one day. I guarantee you say that I got like the next thing you go in there, you'll see 3 different salads to choose from.
Right.
Shelly, you ever hear when somebody going on a restaurant, right? And then buy what them call the coffin box of food, right? And if them looking at that box and them see one piece of chicken, you really want to say hell broke loose. You understand? If them looking at that box and them not see them 2 or 3 pieces of chicken, you understand? Yeah. That people go crazy about that. Now, you say it's a lack of education. Persons aren't educated. And since we're here and we're talking, I'm going to throw this out there too. Now, Shelly, we're adults, right? And we try to do as best as we can at home, right? But when we send with kids to, you can imagine we know personally, right? Me and you know. So there's conspiracy surrounding meats, especially chicken, right? And fibroids and all of them, something there, and the whole fact that persons think it's hormones in meat. And that it's not hormones, it's actually toxins. It's you're looking at arsenic in chicken. Arsenic is the poison fed to the chickens in small proportions, but we eat a whole heap and poison ourselves.
Might is growth hormones too, because they're trying to make the chicken them grow faster, grow bigger in a shorter period of time. So they feed them.
You know what I realized based on research, Shelley, and this is why nothing is changing. It is actually arsenic that's the problem. Right? Listen, and I can explain to you. One of the things in the HACCP training, because you know I'm into teas and natural stuff and going organic and stuff. One of the workshops I've been to, and sit down in a room of persons, me kind of upfront at where, you know, I'm trying to get information because I want to understand. And I remember the man saying to me that in South America, a lot of the times the farmers in South America think that America and Europe fighting against them because them send them stuff where them grow organically to these places and them tell them say they're not organic. And they must say, oh comes, and the man was saying that, listen, Richard, like not to me, but to the group of persons saying that, listen, them grow everything organic, but guess what go on? In order to maintain the spoils or take care of the spoils, them have some pigs and them have some chicken with them raising. And what them do, them take at the end of the day, them have some feeding bag and them take the feeding bag now and pack the vegetables that them grow organically into the feeding bag. And when they go to wherever they're supposed to get tested, there goes toxins on them. There goes arsenic. So what I realized and what I took away from that and what I've done some tests on has proven that arsenic is actually that thing. Feed the thing a little bit of poison. The body's reaction to poison is to get big. It's to build muscle mass, to build fat, to try burn these things and store these things and whatever. It is the toxins. It's not the hormones. It is the toxins that are in the food. You give them a little bit of poison, them swell up, but them not dead. Only after 8 weeks, them dead. You understand? So that this is why exactly. This is why a majority of the people, if them are raised chicken and them can't afford a deep freeze, them not a good business, because at 6 to 8 weeks, you need to either trust them out, kill them and put them in the fridge, or give them away. You understand? So this is the problem. So we're consuming stuff that can't live. We're consuming bacteria per se, and that's the thing killing us. So when we send we put them go to school, you say this is where the education needs to come in. We need to let the schools know that, listen, you can't give my kids chicken alone for the whole week or chicken at all, because this chicken is toxic to them. You understand? This is where the education comes. I've been to you. I've been there on presentations. I've been there to deliver teas, and I've seen it. I've seen it. You get the most chicken, man. The most poison you get right there. So you understand? I'm a seat at the high schools to everything chicken. You can imagine people cook food, and if that like every single day, stew piece chicken and soup chicken and
every single school. It's not, you cannot, and you want to know something funny? You cannot get a vegetarian meal at none of them.
Right, yeah.
You cannot get a vegetarian meal. So even if you want to say, all right, I would like to choose another option and I'm willing to pay for it, there isn't another option. Because every time I go to a school or country, them try to feed me, and they are so disappointed when me tell them, say, me don't eat this and me don't eat that. Them send somebody go to the farm, go chop down one bunch of plantain, give me, which is better anyway. But, you know, the point is, there is not even a vegetarian option available anywhere. Even in regular restaurants you go, you can't ask for a vegetarian option.
Well, I mean, I ask a vegetable all the time. Give me more vegetable. Keep your meat. Give me more vegetable with little rice and so forth. Hey, come the vegetable what the people have, which me and you shelling no say cheaper, right? The vegetable what them have, them still can't give. I don't know. I think there's just, as I say, education. Persons need to get educated.
They are going to prepare what sells. And that's what they tell you. You get rice served with everything, because I don't eat rice either. You get rice served with everything. And you say, okay, so can I get vegetable? Can I just get the vegetable? Sometimes the only thing they have is a little cabbage or them shred. I say, all right, we eat the cabbage. No, then if they give me one box of cabbage, then everybody's exactly. Anyway.
My big problem. Yeah, you never get that. Can't get that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Where there's demand, there's supply. So I feel as though once we all collectively get up and say, hey, we no longer want this, then they'll listen. But it all goes back to education, as you said, Richard. Without the education, nobody will be aware, and nobody will, realize that they really need to take action. But I have one final question to ask you, Debbie-Ann, and then we will be drawing closer to the end of this amazing event. So what do you think are some good approaches that we can take towards helping students and Jamaicans with their mental health issues, and how can we raise more awareness on the issues that we are faced with?
Okay, so I think raising awareness, having forums like this, very, very important, because I know I learned a lot of things today, and I'm already thinking, okay, maybe I need to cut back on the chicken that I'm eating. Maybe that's why certain things happened to me. So having forums like this where people can talk, having forums in the community where people can talk, and to tell you the truth, these have existed for a while. We tend to ignore or to denigrate certain indigenous practices, if we want to call it that. So I know that Rastafari have reasoning sessions. I'm sitting in a circle and I talk about food and everything a long time. So we need to draw back on our culture and what is really great and wonderful about our culture. Advocacy is very important, and advocacy is part of mental health. When a collective, a group of people decided that when you get up and own their voice, you feel more confident, you feel more hope, you're working towards something. So you have purpose and mission, and that really can lift you out of depression and anxiety and hopelessness and things like that. So that's very important. And then again, just repeating, repetition is the mother of learning. What you eat, exercising. I know, I can tell you for myself, I don't drink enough water. And you see, when I get tired, it's almost like a depression. And then I realize, oh, I'm dehydrated. So sometimes it's the foods and so on. So taking care of your physical health, your emotional health, your spiritual health will pay off. And then I guess if I were to leave people with anything, is to be gentle with yourself and be compassionate to yourself. When I tell students that, 90% of the time, students will say to me, so how do I be compassionate with myself? Because many of our young people have been verbally and emotionally abused in their households. So when you've never had people talking loving to you, you don't know how to talk loving to yourself. Okay, so one way to be compassionate to yourself is to be non-judgmental. You're feeling down one day, you're feeling anxious one day, you're feeling angry, just say, I'm feeling angry today. No judgment. That is a step towards self-compassion and self-love, is to refrain from judging yourself. That's a big part of it. I think a lot of our mental health issues will be lifted if we are less judgmental to ourselves. And okay, as I said, that was going to be the last point, but I'm going to go back to what I started with. I'm a firm believer that each human being, regardless of your gender, regardless of your race, regardless of your sexual orientation, regardless of your religious practices, if you are a human being and you exist in whatever formation, you have inherent God-given human dignity. That is your vocational right to dignity. And our society tends to tear down certain people when they're not fit in a certain box and say, well, you don't have no dignity because you're a certain way, you're a certain gender, you're a certain orientation, you're a certain social class. Please to mash down that lie. Don't take it into your system. You have dignity and you're a person of worth. So keep speaking that to yourself because that's so important. Okay, I'm going to stop now because I feel the soapbox coming on.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I really wish we had more time. This discussion has been so teaching for me. I'm really hopeful that our audience as well were able to have valuable takeaways from this discussion. Thank you to all those who have stuck around until this point. We have had a great
Antoinette, I think they said they have a question from YouTube.
Okay.
For a woman that experience a 40-day cycle, should they see a doctor? Yes! Run! Call the doctor and tell him say I come right now. Matter of fact, don't go nowhere. Go online and go find a doctor. Quick, quick.
And it depends on the age too, Shelly.
40 days?
Well, no. Depending on the age, if she's transitioning to menopause. I'm just saying because I didn't mention her age. But persons transitioning to menopause.
Even if you are transitioning to menopause, if you have a 40-day cycle, have a conversation with your doctor. Let the doctor tell you that's what it is.
It is not, it is inconclusive years. It's a 40-day cycle. Is there a period come every 40 days? Or is it that she's bleeding? She has been bleeding for.
If her period comes every 40 days, my answer remains the same.
That is true.
Conversation with your medical professional, because it could be a myriad of things, and it makes sense to find out what it is.
It definitely does.
So absolutely, please speak to your medical professional post haste.
One thing I want to kind of leave you people with is that what I've realized over. Persons might tend to ask why are like persons of African descent affected so much by some of these reproductive health disorders, and I've drawn a conclusion. It's not conclusive, but I would think it is fair to understand that persons or females of African descent are highly reproductive, right? They make babies, almost every nation, right? Babies. Now, the female reproductive organ, what I've realized that it's very, very defensive. And some persons think of fibroids as being a problem. I don't think fibroid is the problem. Fibroid is actually trying to help the female by absorbing some of these toxins and pushing them outside of the uterus. You understand? Now, what I realize is a problem too, is that we have not evolved that much genetically. And what's happening now is that our adapting to the Western diet, you know, the cholesterol high things, the loss of meat and processed food, and all of this is really down to laziness, really, because we don't want cook, we want the easy way out. So we're really lusting for the easy way out. And this thing is not what we're used to. We cannot digest and absorb some of the processes that these are the things that go into these processes. We can't absorb it, and because of that, our bodies will continue to malfunction. So until we come to realize, like you're doing, Shelly, that we still need to eat some, what a friend said, it is live food, live. It is still alive. The enzymes are still alive. We're eating dead food, dead chicken, dead meat. We're eating dead rice, dead sugar, not even a sugar. You understand? It's processed, it's dead. There's nothing there. You understand? Everything is dead. We're going for fruit juice. The fruit juice is dead. Everything is dead. So until we start learning to absorb some of these live food, we're going to still be in trouble. We have not evolved to the point where we can absorb and process all of these things that they're adding to processed foods. So that's where I'm leaving it. We need to be educated.
Right, but adding to your point about why women of color are more affected by reproductive issues than our Caucasian counterparts. In addition to some of what you said, we have more body fat. And because we have more body fat, we produce more estrogen, because our body fat attracts estrogen. I don't remember exactly how the science works, but the more fat you have in your body is the more estrogen you have in your body. So women of color generally have more body fat. That's why so many people are trying so hard to have bodies like ours.
But there is something, Shelly, that I've learned over this week, as a matter of fact. What I've learned is that you say body fat, and it is true. But what happened is that our body fat, we need something called, what kind of vitamin the sun give us?
D.
D. We need vitamin D. You know, you hear me tell you about the Western. No, but
you not to make me finish, so me that second, me that talk about that too.
Okay.
So,
all right.
One of the things that I was going to say is that because we have more body fat, then we generate more estrogen, and therefore, if you realize a lot of the reproductive health issues that we have is because we have an imbalance of reproductive hormones. So that is what causes a lot of our reproductive issues. Fibroids, yes, fibroids become a storage tool, a storage space to put excess estrogen because we produce a lot more than we need. Another thing that we don't do is we do not get enough vitamin D. And that sounds kind of strange because we live in the sunshine, we live in Jamaica, we live in tropical climate.
We'll hide from it, Shelly. We'll hide from the sun.
We'll hide from the sun. I was going to say that. Most of us, as soon as we go into the sun, we find all sorts of ways to hide from it. And
we're getting blacker. We can't manage to get blacker.
No, but fun and joke aside, in order to really help our immune system, dark-skinned people need to get more sun than light-skinned people because the melanin in our skin, the sunshine, the vitamin actually have to get past the melanin because we are being protected from the rays. The vitamin D have to get past, so we have to spend a little bit more time. What is recommended is for persons with lighter skin, closer to the Caucasian-looking skin, 15 full minutes in the sun will get you the amount of vitamin D that you need for that day. But for darker skin folks like myself and for you, Richard, we need at least half an hour. So that means sit down in the sun and make the sun burn you for half an hour so you can get the vitamin D in your system. It is going to make a world of a difference.
Sit down in the sun. If you don't have anything to do, take that half hour and go out the door, make a garden and plant something and take it to sun while you're doing something.
Do something in the sun. Be in the sun. So if you work out in the sun. Because we avoid the sun. Even when we go to the beach, we avoid the sun. Find a way to spend half an hour a day in the sun. You know what I do when I get up in the morning? My right where my step is, the sunshine right on there. So I just, when I handle my bathroom business and I drink my glass of water, I sit down right on my step and I scroll through my phone and I answer my emails right there in the sun every single morning. That is my ritual. Half an hour, you need at least half an hour in the sun. We cannot have this problem and we live in tropical climate. It don't make sense.
And walk barefoot out a door too. Don't make these foreign people come tell you about you need to ground, because this is a new thing now. You need to ground because you're spending so much time in shoes, right? And on concrete. You need them telling you that them have retreat where you go walk up and down. Baby, you pay money for go walk up and down barefoot.
Some people have to pay money because them have them money to spend. Make them spend their money go grounds. For the persons who want to do it free, go and go walk up and down outside free. They have them money and them want to call it grounds. Spend your money and go on as long as you get it done.
Shelly.
No, them have them dirty money. They want to spend the money and go on. Me not telling you to spend the money. Matter of fact, I'm going all a grounding conference. Call me.
Oh, Shelly. Okay, wow. This discussion was absolutely amazing. I am so happy to have been a part. It was constructive. It was illuminating, thought-provoking. I really hope that our audience or viewers were able to have some valuable takeaways and that we will use the education gained here to adjust our lifestyles, to make smarter decisions, to be advocates for change in the reproductive health space and the mental health space, you know, as we try to just form a better Jamaica for each of us and to have improved, you know, just living experiences and how we experience life and everything. So we have a giveaway courtesy of the Mary Seacole Hall. So for a chance to win, it's one of their merch packets. So in the merch packet is a Mary Seacole Hall water bottle, an ID holder, and a notebook. So in order to win, all you have to do is comment in the YouTube chat. And I'm gonna check the chat to see who responds. Comment what are 3 main takeaways from today's discussion. Any 3 from any segment. We just want to hear your opinion, what you took as value points from today for a chance to win. And I'll just randomly have Taji select a winner. But in the meantime, to Richard, Shelly, and Debbie, where can the public, or how can the public engage each of you for partnerships, and where can we find you?
Sure. So again, I'm at the University Counseling Service here at UA Mona. So I'm actually at work 4 days a week. I work from home 1 day a week. So you can call 876-970-1992. Sometimes the phone lines are busy because lots of people are calling. So you can also call the Health Center straight line at 876-970-0017 and ask for the counseling service, and you'll get through to me.
Okay, awesome. And you, Richard? How can the public engage you for partnerships, and where can we find you?
All right. We're pretty easy to find. It's Elsa's Blend. elsasblend.com. So it's www.elsasblend.com. And we have 2 really nice numbers. One is 3232 CRAMP. You can work that out. And the next one is 320 Elsa. So you can get to us through any one of those. We're at elsasblend@gmail.com. So whichever way, we're easy to get. Please follow us on Instagram. Like I said, consultation is free. You don't need to pay us to talk to us. And like for you guys know, I typed there that I'm actually giving you guys 5 boxes of my tea for persons who experience really, really awful cramps. So we can make arrangement for you guys to get it at Mary Seacole. Yeah, that's it. I'm easy to get in touch with.
Okay, awesome. And you, Shelly?
Herflow everywhere, HERFLOW, that's one word. Follow me on Instagram. We have lots of great lives and very interesting conversations. We've been talking a lot about reproductive health right throughout, and look out for me and these persons on a live. I specifically want to, Dr. Chambers, I'm going to stalk you because
I'm gonna follow you. I'm going to go on Instagram and follow you right now.
I really want to do some work on mental health and reproductive health, because I think that is an intersection that has not been explored enough, and we definitely have to make some headways there. And Richard, definitely, well, you know, we already know how to get in touch with each other, but Herflow everywhere for me. And you can visit our website as well, embraceherflow@gmail.com. If you are anybody you know right now are having difficulties affording your menstrual products, you can get in touch with me. Mary Seacole Hall is one of the places that we provide products for as well. So you know, you guys just reach out to me, and I'll make sure that you have the supplies that you need. I think that in a time of pandemic, what we're going through right now, we need each other more than ever now. And the only way we're going to survive this is together. So we definitely have to find a way to help each other out. And I think that, you know, this is a great starting point. So thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you, Antoinette, and your team for putting this talk together. I think that we have done some good work here today, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yes, I agree. And thank you to each of you, Richard, Shelly, and Debbie. We really appreciate it. I definitely learned so much from this discussion. And we'll be sure to connect with you, Richard, and Debbie as well.
Yeah.
Or Shelly, big friend.
So,
there,
just to know, I'm not going to answer it because our time is up, but there was something in the chat about why do we stigmatize mental health so much in the Caribbean. So I think you can have a part 2 and we can talk about that.
For sure. Okay, so for the giveaway, we have Katharina Walker who commented first. She said her 3 main takeaways were being aware of your emotions, being compassionate towards yourself, and seriously considering your nutrition and daily activities. So definitely, girl, congratulations.
Congrats, Katharina.
Yes, on Instagram to claim your prize. But for sure, and that's a very important reiteration to me, guys, listen to your body, listen to your mind, be mindful of the thoughts that you're having, try to exercise, to drink more water, eat your fruits, cut out dairy, form communities, you know, be creative, express, learn, read, educate yourself as much as possible so that you're able to make smarter decisions and to live more holistic lives. And for my females, the periods don't have to be painful. There is Elsa's Blend with a myriad of amazing products that you can tap into and try. And there are also lifestyle adjustments that you can make, just as the one we've said before. And also, don't ignore your mind. Be very self-aware, be centered and balanced, listen to your thoughts, listen to your body, you know, observe the signals. And yes, so I'll rest there. I will turn over now to Miss Thalia Mars, who will bid us the vote of thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So I would just like to take the time out to say thank you so much for coming out and having this dynamic, informative, and interactive session with us about mental health and period awareness and ways in which we can prevent having painful periods, because many of us believe that we're supposed to or we're expected to have painful periods. And I'd just like to thank Miss Shelly-Ann Weeks for coming out, Dr. Debbie Ann Chambers, and Mr. Richard Griffin, and Lee. And we're not forgetting our moderator, Miss Antoinette Hines. And also we'd like to thank all those who came out today and supported us. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Thalia. So that brings us to the end of the Mary C. Cole Hall October Forum. Again, thank you so much to our amazing guest speakers and to all of those who tuned in today. Please be sure to follow Mary C. Cole on Instagram at the Mary C. Cole Hall. I hope I got that correct. Yes, that is. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. I'm not sure if Taji has any final words, but thank you.
All right, so Thalia basically said it all. We're very happy that you guys all agreed to come out and basically share your knowledge and what you know about mental health and period awareness, what's really and truly going on in Jamaica. We thank you so much for us. To all the panelists, thank you so much, Antoinette. Really enjoy you moderating the session, and big up to everybody who stuck through on YouTube. We know we went long over time because the session was supposed to be for. So thank you so much for staying tuned in and actually engaging within the chat.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Teresa is here, and Teresa will be doing our hall song. Teresa?
Good night, everyone. Not certain if you can hear me. If you can hear me, just say aye so I know my audio is working.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, good.
Hi.
Thank you. So I'd like to say my thank you to everyone. It was a very informative session. I was on for most of it, and I learned a lot, especially as I'm one who suffers from painful period. And I learned something today that I didn't even know with regards to you not seeing a period, and that is actually a really bad issue with your body, and you should get it checked out because I had that itch and I didn't get it checked out. So I'm going to get it checked out right now. But I'm actually here to sing a horse song. I know that seeker lights are on, so sing with me, but don't open your mics. We'll be starting after 2. When Seacoast Hall goes marching, all the girls will march as one, fighting for the rights of which we will not be undone. We'll tramp to ranks of alien halls and so protect the walls of our sorority. March, march on girls of Seacoast, march with strength and virtue and the heart's great unity. We'll keep the flag a-flying, keep the name of Seacoast free, as marching on we go. March, march on girls of Seacoast, march with strength and virtue and the heart's great unity. We'll keep the flag a-flying, keep the name of Seacoast free, as marching on we.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Teresa. All right, so that concludes it, everyone. Thank you so much again for the final time to our amazing panelists and to those who participated with us via Zoom and YouTube. Thank you for joining. We really hope you guys have a great night and stay tuned for more amazing events that the hall will be producing, and also connect with our panelists at Elsa's Blend on Instagram, at Her Flow Foundation as well. And you know the number to call if you need to speak with Dr. Chambers. Okay, so thank you again, all. Have a great night. Bye.
Miss Drummond?